Evening. This is my presentation on the compassionate leadership model that I did for a fictitious company called the Kindness Center. In assignment number 1, I had studied Deb Logan. I interviewed her, and after analyzing the interview, I came up with the idea that her leadership style was authentic. And then for the second assignment, I focused on 3 leaders that I studied. The first one was the Prime Minister from England, Boris Johnson. The second was Jacinda Ardern, who is the Prime Minister for New Zealand. And the third was the Prime Minister of Bhutan, Dr. Lotai Shering. I studied these 3 leaders in relationship with their performance during the pandemic. And I came to the conclusion that Jacinda and Lotai were compassionate leaders. Not the case of Mr. Johnson, who put the economy above the people and had the worst morbidity and mortality of most developed countries. Basran and colleagues have done studies on the leadership's 2 dimensions. The one that they call antisocial and is characterized by self-focus and aggressive and competitive behaviors. And what they do is they generate fear, and people who are under their command feel threatened. So they respond from these stress centers in the brain that respond with fight or flight responses. Not very good for business. In the second case, the second dimension is prosocial, and the authors characterize it as empathetical, caring, and supportive. And the value-based types of leadership, including this model that I'm presenting on compassionate leadership, are prosocial. The Kindness Center, I created a vision for this center, and it is the following. The Kindness Center transforms the local community into a kinder place that allows, promotes, and engages in respectful, heartful, and civil dialogue. The mission is to promote, teach, and practice the core values of kindness, compassion, and empathy that are necessary for building a resilient, compassionate community. The Kindness Center current leadership has been assessed as transformational, and the Kindness Center wants a leadership model that is more aligned with the vision and mission they have. The main assumptions that I came up with for this creation of the new model are the following. First of all is that human beings are driven by an innate need to learn. And in order to learn, they have to affiliate with others so that they can search for truth and freedom. And these values grow from another inborn capacity, which is the capacity for empathy, which is wired in our brains, and that needs to be nurtured and developed in the presence of empathetic relationships. So the assumptions that I worked with were that leadership is contextual. It is influenced by culture, and that leadership competencies can be learned and developed because nature can be nurtured. The other assumption is that compassionate leaders create cultures that are characterized by solidarity, and they influence the interaction between people. And the result of this is that they improve outcomes, even when the company, the organization, or the nation, or the community is facing difficult circumstances. The other assumption is that the main focus of compassionate leadership is the greater good. It is globally inclusive, so it looks for social justice. It is interested in being inclusive with the diverse groups they are working with. And also, another assumption is shared with most leadership models, which is that good leadership requires a long-term foresight or a good vision. So the proposed leadership model is compassionate leadership. And these are the characteristics that I believe a compassionate leader should have. First of all, is wisdom and courage. And the wisdom is to know what they need to do, what's fair, what's good for all, but also they need to have the courage to stand up for example, social justice. The emotional and cultural intelligence that a compassionate leader has is manifested through the relationships with others, through kindness and empathy and forgiveness, gratitude, and also with actions that are generous and that we call altruism. Their focus is on collective well-being, including the capacity that I mentioned before of fostering solidarity, and cultures, both organizational cultures and community cultures, that are capable of improving outcomes when they are in any circumstances, especially in times of crisis. The positive relationships with followers is expressed through leaders' presence and their capacity to authentically be there and do active listening. And also these compassionate leaders tend to have a democratic understanding of authority and a holistic view of organizations. Some will call it a systemic view of organizations. They also are deeply committed to followers' growth and to restoring the harmony in times of stress. And so these are the references for this presentation. Thank you.